Yeah, whenever you're ready to go live, dude, I'm good to go, man.
We are
I'm a showman. I was born ready.
we're up, brother. We're live.
Oh,
So
great.
speaking of tequila, years ago,
Lit.
I took my girlfriend to this place in Denver, which is like a Mexican restaurant, and they have it's called Adelitas, and they have like I think they have something like 150 varieties of tequila, like everything from like really really cheap stuff to like $400 a bottle,
Oh
and
yeah.
I've only ever done like cheap tequila shots in a bar or something. So,
Right.
I figured, you know what? So I was talking to the guy and I was like, listen, man, how about like, what's good for like $10 a glass? Like, that's what I'm willing to spend. So he talked to us about like, what flavors do you like, whatever. And so he comes out with this fucking fancy ass bottle, and, two little glasses, puts a little piece of ice in each one. He pours it in. And he's like, "Here you go, guys." So we pick it up, and I cheers my girlfriend, and she just fucking drinks it all. And I was like, "God damn it." And the guy behind the bar is looking at her like horrified, like, "Oh my god, like why would you do this?"
You said it was a $10 glass
It was a
of
ten
tequila?
dollar glass of tequila, and she just shot it.
Yeah, so since you're on tequila and I'm on the whiskey, dude, I'll tell you, one time we were in Disney Springs and I was at this barbecue joint, whatever it was, and it's called like, I mean, maybe it's called the Whistle Pig, but like Whistle Pig is a really good bourbon.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't even realize they keep it up at the top shelf. And my father-in-law, we had only been married for like a very short time. And he comes in. I had bought dinner for like Molly and a few of her friends. And he comes in and he just like kind of nudges me on the shoulder. He's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" I'm like, "Hey, you want a beer or anything?" He's like, "No, I got you." He's like, "You want a shot of that?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Like, no, and I didn't realize that because it like they had to get the ladder and get it. And I didn't
Wow.
realize that like this dude was buying a really expensive shot because
Right.
it was on the top shelf.
Right.
Like, and I was just like, yeah, whatever. I mean, I love bourbon. Yeah, I'll do. And he was like, no, I don't want one just for you. And then I saw the bill. It's like, oh, it's like $150 glass
Oh
of
my god.
bourbon, dude. Well, of course, like I wasn't there to shoot it anyway. So I sipped it, and this stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Every sip was different. It was like a different profile the whole time. Like
Yeah.
every sip got deeper and it very, very interesting.
That's
We're
cool.
old. We're old.
I played a musical with a theater company in Denver called the Bug. Well, the theater company is Equinox, but it's at the Bug Theater. And when we did Sweeney Todd, and the guy playing piano, like it's a super cool place. They let us drink in the pit, and so the guy,
Oh wow.
we'd always bring 6 packs and stuff. The guy playing piano was a whiskey drinker, so we'd always come with this flask, and this flask looked like it was like 100 years old, dude. It was like wrapped in leather, but it was all like fraying, and like it just looked old and like super
I think his
cool.
grandfather's flask.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so this guy, dude, he brought this one whiskey that was like smoked, and he was like, and like at one point he was like, dude, this is like $300 a bottle, and I was like,
Jeez.
$300 a bottle? Jesus fucking Christ, man. But it was
Yeah.
it's funny because like how people talk about like the warmth from alcohol. This was
That's
like
one that you feel.
yeah, dude, you take one sip and like my
Your tongue,
fingers were
it like,
tingling. Yeah.
dude, it tingles down your
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
body.
yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah,
It's
that's
like
the
when you drink
good stuff.
really cold water and you feel it down all in here. It was the
Yeah, on
same
a
way. It was
hot
just like
day.
fire. Yeah. It was so good, man. I kept like I kept like bumming the fucking flask from him. I felt bad
So
because I was
how did
like,
you guys play that night? You guys sounded great that night, I bet.
you know, I don't know. I don't really
But
know.
it was kind of a chill place though.
Yeah, I mean
The fact
they
that they had like a wet pit.
yeah, a wet pit.
I've never heard
Yeah.
of that.
Nah, this place is super chill. I love Equinox. I'll always play for them. They do really good shows. I played there's a musical version of you ever see that movie Bubble Boy with Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a musical version of that written by the same guy who wrote the movie. And it was incredible. It's such a fun show to play. Now, we were technically we had to be dry on that show because I guess there was somebody in the cast, and they never figured out who, but there was someone in the cast who was like a recovering alcoholic, so they were like, don't fucking drink.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's just respect. That's just a respect thing, dude.
Yeah, for sure. We still passed around a flask. We just didn't make it obvious.
Yeah. I mean, it's just respect. Honestly, so do you do a lot? Well, before all of this COVID stuff happened, were you doing a lot of theater work like that?
It was actually starting to ramp up last summer. I ended up doing 3 musicals during the summer. Different companies. Two of them
And
were actually.
how long would they run? Like about 4 weeks or
It,
something?
it, it depends. So there was one. There was a high school that was putting on Little Women. So I played in the pit for that, but that was only. I think it was only one weekend. It might have been two. I think it was only one. But then like the Bug will do like 5, 6, 7 weeks of shows. And then
Oh wow, yeah.
I played for a company in Louisville, Colorado, which did I think it was 3 weekends of shows. So like Fridays, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, kind of thing. Um, and then I worked with a company in Boulder called Arret Theatrics on a new musical, which was cat just came in.
So I
Um,
don't have any animals yet.
I went from living with no animals to living with 3 dogs and a cat. This has been
Oh
an adjustment
wow.
period. Yeah.
All your girlfriends?
No, no. So the cat and one of the dogs are my girlfriends, and then the other 2 dogs are my other 2 roommates. They're great dogs. One of them, he's old and he was abused when he was younger, and he's a little, like he'll get up in my lap, but if I try to pet him, he'll try to bite me. But he's a
Oh,
good dog.
bummer.
He's a good dog. He has good energy. I think he's old and he has PTSD. You know,
Yeah.
he
That
probably like.
sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for him. Like the story, obviously not from his current owner. Like she's super nice to him, but apparently like he got locked in like a laundry room or something, like for basically an entire year. Like never got let out and was just kept in there. And so
Wow.
if he's in a room like with the
In
door
his
closed,
own in his own waste, like
yeah, I don't know if how well they kept after him or not, but he
that
wasn't
sucks.
around people. He wasn't like they never took him on walks, I guess, and. So if he's in a room and the door gets shut, he starts like barking like crazy.
Freaking out, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel bad for the poor guy. I mean, he's a good dog. He doesn't tear up shit. He doesn't bite. Well, I mean, he does try to. He doesn't try to bite you, but he just kind of he does that thing where he's like, I'm gonna nip at you to like let you know that like this is not cool. Don't fucking do this.
Yeah.
My girlfriend's dog is this little like terrier thing, and he's the goodest. He's the goodest of all the
The
boys.
goodest boy, the goodest doggo. Yeah, no, my Molly wants like a teacup dog too, and I just like never have been a teacup dog guy. I've been like we've had Rottweilers and a Rottweiler
Mm-hmm.
Labrador. I would love to get a Rottie
Oh
and train it really well. My
yeah. Mm-hmm.
thing is though, dude, I can't in good conscience get a pet, especially a dog that needs the social time. A cat can just sit around and like whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
won't get a cat because they shit in the house. First off. Second
Yeah.
off, the dog though, I'd rather pick up the dogs than have the cat do it in the house,
Right.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is like when I was playing so many gigs, it's like I wouldn't be home a lot of times. If I went to work
Mm-hmm.
8:30 or like leave before 8 and then if I go straight to a gig, I won't be home for like 12 hours, and that's like not fair to that
Yeah.
animal.
Yeah.
And Molly's a flight attendant, so she's out of town
Oh
a
wow.
lot. So it's like so if we don't have regular enough schedule to like give that dog a fighting chance of being the goodest boy.
Yeah.
So like I wouldn't want to do that to an animal and be like, you're cooped up inside for
Yeah.
12, 13 hours. But now like with her being a flight attendant, I've lost a lot of gigs. So I have like,
Yeah.
one or two a week.
Uh-huh.
And so now sometimes when she's away, I'll be like, man, I should get a dog. I should just get one. I saw one walking down the side of the road the other day and I was like, what if I went and got that dog? Just brought it home. But no, I couldn't. I just couldn't.
So you would really want a Rottweiler?
Oh my god, I love Rotties, dude. They're beautiful.
Rotties are great.
Rottweilers are beautiful dogs, I think. In my opinion, they have the brown and the black. They're so beautiful. Rottweilers are one of the most beautiful dogs, I think.
This is Bun Bun's cameo appearance on the Banner House.
Bun Bun
Say
in the
hello, Bun
band.
Bun.
Bun Bun in the Banner House. What's up?
This cat.
No, that's a very pretty cat though.
She's super gorgeous. She's an adorable cat. She's very pretty. I don't know if this is true. My girlfriend says that like so she's like part tortie, like tortoiseshell. Apparently, like that breed just has they call it I can't believe
It's gonna sound terrible.
It's
What
gonna
is it?
sound terrible.
Pretty
It's called,
jeans or
no, it's
something?
called tortitude. Because apparently like that particular breed has like a lot of attitude, which
That's the
I
scientific term, right?
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's published in a journal somewhere. I don't know. But she's it's funny because like, yeah, like I said, so like I was just sitting in my living room last night. I was just watching TV, and she just gets up in my lap and she just pretty much like that like falls asleep, and I'm just petting her, whatever. And so that was really cool. And then today, like when I was getting ready to to actually start this podcast with you, she's sitting on my office chair, and I try to pick her up and she fucking bites me, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I had to pick up the fucking chair and like shake it, so she had to like jump off.
Yeah, my cat, my childhood cat he's kind of a dick. He's like a Maine Coon. He's like super tall. He's yay big, like 4 feet from head to toe, no,
my
like
God.
5 feet from
What?
front to back. Yeah, he's huge. He's huge. I
Holy
like got
shit.
him my girlfriend at the time in high school, like sophomore year of high school, I was over, we're hanging out. Her friend had like a litter of kittens,
Mm.
and she was like, "Oh, you should bring one home." And I was like, "Sure, yeah, I'll bring it home, Mom. Can I bring it
Turned
home?"
into a monster.
Well, yeah, that cute kitten turned into like a huge, massive, like Maine Coon
Wow.
cat, and he will like straight up just soon you're petting him, and then he'll just bite you and like crazy. He's a nut. But yeah, cats can be like that. That's why cats are so malicious, dude. They're just like,
well,
they don't care.
So I don't know fucking jack about science, but I know a couple things. One of the things that I know, so there's the the oxytocin hormone. Do you know about that hormone?
No idea what you just said.
So there's a hormone.
Oxytocin?
There's a hormone called oxytocin. Oxytocin, I think.
Oxytocin.
And so
Okay.
oxytocin is it's a hormone that's released when like you have sex, even when you like cuddle with someone that you love. When women have a baby, they have a flood of oxytocin. So one of the things that oxytocin does, it's a bonding hormone. So it helps facilitate sort of creating a mental and emotional bond with somebody. So what's really interesting about dogs is dogs have a system for oxytocin. And so when you pet a dog, you get a little bit of oxytocin, and so does the dog.
Oh,
and
wow.
So not only is it a feeling good hormone, it's like people like, when I'm sad, I pet my dog. Well, there's a reason for that. It's because like petting a dog literally makes you feel better. Like you get this one of the happiness
scientifically
hormones.
proven.
Yeah, man. And it bonds you together. So when you pet that dog in a way that it likes, not only do you get this bonding hormone, but so does it.
Wow.
Cats have an oxytocin system, but they don't release any of it when you pet them.
Theirs is only released when you're gone. Like when you're gone, they have the house to themselves,
like,
and they
finally.
like make a mess. Once they make a mess of the litter box, that oxytocin is like released so hard for them, and they're like, oh, they have like an oxytocin orgasm, dude.
For this one,
that's cats for you.
For this one is probably when she fucking scratches the carpet.
Yeah, I mean, see, that's my other thing about pets.
I've lived in this house for just over a month, and she's already fucking destroyed the carpet in front of my.
I was gonna ask you about your house because it looks like you're in your studio.
Yeah. So
or your office.
We got really lucky. There's 4 of us in this house, and we found a 6-bedroom house, which is great.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome because I really wanted my own studio. Because I'm living with my girlfriend, and I've never lived with a girlfriend before, and I'm just
big step, big move.
Yeah, no, it's been great, dude. It's on like you were talking earlier about how great it's been to like be married and like live with Molly, and I kind of feel the same way. I mean, I've never lived with a girlfriend before. I've never lived with girls before besides my mom, but that doesn't really count. So that's been a trip on its own. But we really wanted to like make sure that she and I each had like our own spaces we could go to. We're super independent people from each other. Like we've been together for like a couple of years, and like honestly most of the time we would maybe spend 2-3 days a week together. That's just who we are. I like being by myself, she likes being by herself. We've like reached an equilibrium there, so we got really lucky in finding this house. So my girlfriend and I basically have the basement. We've got our room, my studio, and she's got an art room plus a shared living room. Everyone comes down here, and then upstairs there's 3 more bedrooms where the other 2 live. Yeah, it's great. I really enjoy having like my own practice space, and not being like, oh my God, my clothes are all over the floor, or like, oh, I should make my bed, or like, oh, I got to do laundry. It's all over there, so I can kind of forget about it. So when I'm practicing, it's like I'm just in a nice space. Like literally the only thing in here is my desk, that bookshelf, a big ass pile of books on the floor because I
And your
really
cellos.
overestimated how many books would fit on that bookshelf. And then I just have a closet with all my like gig clothes in it, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then of course my cello. And a
So
shit ton of guitars just chilling over there that I haven't.
it's interesting that you say like having your own studio or office was like that's the same for me. I think it's that way with a lot of musicians, man, because like you don't want your work in your bedroom. Like
Yeah.
I guess again, we're old. Like I can't have like it's not a dorm room anymore. It's not college. Like
Yeah.
I don't want 6 guitars in my bedroom. I want my bedroom to be where I sleep because God knows it's hard enough. You get like 7 hours of sleep nowadays and you're like, oh my back, oh my God. Like, so I had a 2-bedroom and it was a decent spot. I was there for like 4 years and I had my own, well, it was a studio, but then we got a spare bed and we put the bed in there. And then I never went in there to work because it just all it was so cluttered. And now, so we just moved into our new house in like the end of July, August. And so I have my own studio. We have a separate spare bedroom, and then we have our all that other living room, dining room, bedroom.
Yeah.
But this studio now, it feels so much more creative because it's just, I don't know, dude. And I still haven't even barely set it up. Like I have it. I built it. I got this really nice L-shaped desk. It's like decent. I got the studio set up. You know, like when you set up your computer for your studio and like, I don't know if you're the same way, but I want all the wires to be like hidden.
Yeah.
So it takes like,
100%,
dude, it takes like honestly a couple hours to get everything perfectly right. And so that was like a big chore for me. But once I got it done, dude, it feels so clean in here. I just come in here and like, I got a bunch of projects that I've got one big project that I'm working on, but like a 6-song kind of demo.
Oh, wow. Sweet.
But like when you work at a home studio and it's your house, you don't like feel a lot of pressure to work hard. So for me, it's like just having the freedom to come in here and dick around and like, okay, I'll lay down some synths now. Okay, I'll lay down a bass line now and I'll do some mixing. I'll just play around with some harmonies and the mixing and stuff. What's up, boo?
You're not doing your thing, are you? You're just talking to your friend.
Why? What?
No, it's fine. I just I had some things I want to ask you.
I think we're live.
This is the thing. Yeah, we're live.
Yeah, we're live. This is the thing. She said, you're just talking to your friend. I said, well, yes, I'm talking to my friend. What do you need to ask?
No, I'll talk to you later.
Okay, is it important? So anyway, yeah, the studio is my
shout out to
space.
Molly Sontag. Hi, Molly.
Shout out to Molly Sontag. That sounds so weird still. So we've been married like a year and a half, almost 2. In February, it'll be 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, we're old, Joe. I'll tell you this again about 40 more times while we're talking. We're old, man.
Wait, how old are you? You're like 28, 29?
I'm 29. I'll be 30 in May.
Wow. Okay.
But dude, I sing this medley. I pretty much have been singing this medley as the opening song of all my sets for like 500 gigs since like 2016. I've been doing this medley.
Wow.
No Woman, No Cry. Because honestly, if you ask me what is your favorite song of all time, No Woman, No Cry.
Really?
For me, 110%. I think it's one of the best songs ever written. It has so much just serious sincerity and like it's like a total glimpse into Bob Marley's world. And like there's a whole book about what the lyrics really meant. It was a glimpse into his life and his world with Rita Marley and their whole relationship, dude. Anyway, and yeah, it's that song to me has meant so much. And so I learned how to play it. It's 1 5 6 4, right? So it's that typical song. So I medley like 10 songs, but one of the things that I like am singing, and I'll like come back to it, is like I do Fleetwood Mac, Landslide, and so it's like time makes you older, even children, or time makes you bolder, even children get older. I'm getting older too, and then I go into Forever Young.
Nice.
I want to be forever young.
Dude, that's genius.
And then speaking words of wisdom, let it be one day, one day. So it's a really great medley. Dude, but I always think about that, like, you know, I've been afraid of changing because I built my life around that whole Fleetwood Mac Landslide, and then going into like the meaningful part is like I want to be forever young, and that's how I've been opening my set with that 4 years. It's crazy.
Wow, man. Dude, that's one of those things that like it seems so obvious that those songs go together, but I fucking never would have thought about it. That's
Dude,
really
I do
that's
Journey.
great.
I do
That's
Don't
really
Stop
great.
Believing. I do She Will Be Loved. I do a bunch in that one song. You can do One Day by Modest Yahoo. You can do recently learned that song Girls Like You by Maroon 5, which is a huge crowd pleaser. Everybody
Wow.
likes to hear Girls Like You,
Yeah.
and I do the Cardi B rap and all that.
Really?
People love to
Hell
hear
yeah,
that. Yes.
dude.
And so that's the same exact chords as No Woman No Cry. So
Oh yeah.
so dude, it's bookends for
Oh,
me
yeah.
when I play gigs. Check this out. I open up with No Woman No Cry and I do a whole medley. It's like 10 minutes long because I do No Woman No Cry, Let It Be, Don't Stop Believing, She Will Be Loved, One Day, I don't know, Forever Young, Landslide, all these jams, like all these epic songs.
Sweet.
And then, but you know that part in No Woman No Cry, everything is gonna be all right. And then at the end of my set, I usually save that Maroon 5 song at the end because it's a banger and it's got a verse by Cardi B, and people they flip. They just love to hear you rap some Cardi B. Oh,
Yeah.
and I do like the ad libs and all that shit. It's like super fun. But then, but at the end, so then I like break everything down with the loop, and I'll be just like saying, "Thank you guys so much," blah 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 blah. You know, and that's the very end, bookends. And then I'll go, because the chords are the same, I'll just go, everything is gonna be all right, and do some reggae chucking. So it's like total bookends for the whole show, you know?
That's awesome. You know, one of the things that I always thought about you ever since like we first met, we started at JU together. I think the same year, right? 2009.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. You always impressed me as like you're a showman. Like you have a really
Thank you.
You have a really convincing way of like you're not just a guy up there playing a guitar. Like you're entertaining people. And
bro, but I so am just a guy with a guitar who loves to sing and loves music, man.
It's a little more than that, but yeah, you're being humble.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think the last time you and I were in person was before you
Garage.
got married. It was at the garage, yeah. Because you introduced Molly as your fiance. So that when you said you guys have been married for a year and a half, that
I know you're
hurts
like
my
holy
brain. I thought that was like last year or something. No, I guess this was like 2 years ago, which is God, it's so weird.
I'm actually playing at the garage. They had a pretty rough time through quarantine. I mean, and dude, my journey with the garage is they were one of the first spots that I got into when I was first trying to ramp up my gig career. So I went in like 2017. I went from like 4 or 5 gigs a month to like 4 to 7 gigs a week.
Wow.
Holy, and the garage was one of the big reasons, dude. They gave me a chance because I went on this like guerrilla marketing sale. I went on like a guerrilla sales pitch thing, and I hit up like every single restaurant that I could, and 90% say, okay, well, if you never played here before, you can't play here. It's just a catch-22. You just, oh well, if you've never played here before, then you can't play here.
What a
and
silly
so it's
thing
like,
to say.
well, then
What a silly
how
thing
do
to
I
say.
ever?
Yeah.
So the garage was one of those spots that I sent them. I've been sending this same old ass corny highlight reel, and they were one of the people who were like, "Hey, yeah, I mean, we have some Fridays open. We just started doing live music on our patio Friday nights, dude. Come give it a shot." And I mean, after that, man, the response was good. I've been playing at the garage for like 3 years, and there were months where I played there like 12 times in 1 month.
Wow.
Yeah, bro. I've had a great time. Friends of mine would call me like, dude, you're the legend of King Street. Like, dude, and I've seen, and I just love that place so much, dude. The energy.
It's one of my favorite
I've played
spots.
there so many times. I had nothing but like, dude, just the greatest time there. I always get nervous because it's Riverside. It's super young people. It's not like these like restaurants that you play, restaurants where it's families sitting down to eat. Like it's a totally, dude, those vibes are so easy to milk. It's like a family friendly environment. It's such an easy,
like garage is one of those places where
thing.
like people are actually gonna watch you. Like they're not just gonna be like, this is cool background music.
And
like,
if you don't sound good, they're not just gonna sit there. They're gonna go to any one of those other bars. Like And so it was really, I would always get nervous and then I would always have so much fun and people would give me such great feedback and like have a blast with me. You feed off of that kind of energy. But I'm playing there November 6th, dude, for the
Oh,
first
sweet.
time since February. I don't know, March. Like,
Nice, dude. Well,
yeah.
I'm planning an extended because usually I end up going back to Jacksonville for maybe a week for either Thanksgiving or Christmas. But this year, because everything's online and I don't actually have to take a week off of work to go visit my family,
Right.
I'm thinking about taking a 2 week trip.
So
Um,
so what are you doing? You're primarily teaching lessons?
yeah, I mean, what I've been doing for the past couple of years is a mix of teaching and gigging. Obviously the
And
gigging
right
is,
now, yeah.
yeah, pretty much dried up. I do have a recurring like Catholic church gig, which has come back, which has been great. It's nice to have. They don't pay a lot, but they hire me at least twice a week.
Twice a week is good for a
Yeah.
church, dude.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude, no,
church,
it's
dude. Church gigs. Let me tell you, church
it's
gigs
nice, dude.
keep musicians afloat for so many musicians. Those church gigs keep them alive, bro.
Well, and it's it's just fucking like brain dead easy. It's like you show up, it's the same mass
Oh,
parts
church
every
music
mass.
is it's
Yeah.
so
And then
easy.
it's
And
just it's pretty basic. Sometimes it's just here's the lyrics and here's the chords, but what's like I view it as like the thing that keeps me from just like losing my mind from boredom is I view it as an opportunity to really work on improvisation and really think about, how am I going to kind of flesh out these bass lines or, if someone says, hey, I want you to play an intro, like, what am I going to play? Am I just going to play the melody or can I play something else, So
dude,
it's
I
not,
learned so much from playing at church. Like
yeah,
I've learned and
yeah,
practiced so much from
yeah.
playing at church.
You can flex that muscle and, um, it's, it's money too. I mean,
I
I'm
think
really
also, yeah,
thankful for that.
and the steady paycheck is great, but like when the rep is easy like that, you can totally try new things. You can
Mhm.
experiment. When
Yeah.
it's so simple and repetitive, which I don't know if you're doing like contemporary worship music or
There is one contemporary service a week. I sometimes play for that, but I mostly play for the more traditional
because that
stuff.
stuff is very structurally simple to play and understand.
Yeah, and with the contemporary stuff, I can get away with a little bit more sort of weirdness, like more harmonics or like if you like on the cello, if you can play in a certain way where you can get the string to speak an octave higher, and it's this weird kind of like fuzzy, fluty, kind of airy thing.
I like
And
it.
so I play around with that stuff a lot, and no one's ever gone, dude, don't do that. So I figure at this point, like I'll just keep doing it, and it's very atmospheric or whatever. You put some silly label on it.
Okay, dude. So when you come back to Jax, you're gonna bring your cello, obviously,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
So okay, I might have some projects for you to lay down some bass lines on.
Oh sweet, dude. Yeah, I'm super
Come
in.
by the studio. So this is
Hell
so
yeah.
this is like I'm in my studio right now.
Yeah, I'm
It's
super into
obvious.
it.
It's but yeah, dude, come by to the place and I'll get you because I've got like I said, 6 songs, but some of them are pretty much bare. All they have is acoustic guitar and a scratch
Hmm.
vocals. And some of them have a lot more. Some of them are like um some of them I've layered bass synths and synth pads
Mm.
and like layered 5 different guitar tracks and I have full harmonies. So like
Sweet.
I'd
Yeah, that's
love to
awesome.
get some cello.
Dude, I'm super into it. Dude, all I want to do all the time is just play music. I don't really want to do anything.
Oh,
So like
dude, it's the best thing.
I'm so
People
down.
ask, someone was asking me, so it must be nice. Like they asked, oh, so what do you do? And I was like, well, I'm a music teacher and I play music on the side. And they're just like, oh, that must be nice. And everybody's number one thing is like, oh, wow, that must be so rewarding. Especially I tell them, oh, I work with students with intellectual differences, and they
Yeah.
go like, oh, bless your heart, dude. One time I like didn't go to Christmas mass back home because I was like sick of everybody doing this like, oh, bless your heart. I'm like, dude, my students don't need you to awe them. Like, don't
Yeah.
coddle or coo at my students, bro. Like,
Yeah.
it's was so bizarre. It was a weird feeling. But now I've just gotten
I
used to
get
it. I
you.
say, yes, it is very rewarding. You're right. Far more than a lot of careers. But also like my thing is like I wake up in the morning, I go to work, whatever work I'm doing. If I ever say in a day like I'm working besides like chores or yard work or whatever, if I say I have to work, it's music. I'm making music somehow, some way. I mean, they're playing the guitar, singing for kids, teaching them about something, or playing a gig that night, or play like if I'm working, it means playing music. And dude, that's like the dream. That's like what? How did we get so lucky? You know?
That's why, you know, so I mean, you and I, you know, we know each other because we went to college together. Like that's why we went to college to do that, is because we wanted in some way eventually to just make a living playing music. And, you know, I think at some point I've just accepted that like I'll likely never be wealthy because of music, but
you will, dude. You will. I mean, you can.
Maybe I will. I've let go of that as a need.
Right. That's the point.
I can pay my rent. I can pay my bills. I can pay for my repairs, and I can take my girlfriend out to dinner every once in a while, and I get to do that with music. And like, holy fucking shit, man! Like that's just
it's great.
And it really hurts me to see people that we went to school with who are no longer doing music. And I'm sure they're happy, and I don't want to be like, oh, they must be so sad. I don't want to do that thing because I don't know their lives. But it is kind of a thing where like, I don't know. I look at it and I'm like, you spent so much time, and you know, it's been hard. I mean, you know, it's a struggle. It's never been a breeze to make money doing music. It's
dude.
You were talking about this sort of like guerrilla campaign of getting people to hire you for restaurants. That's got to be frustrating to spend hours and hours and hours and hours and get maybe one person who bites. You know what I mean?
Dude, yeah, you hit up 15, 20 places and you get 2 or 3, maybe 3, 2.
But it's worth it. It's worth it. And you know, I don't know if you feel like you've quote unquote made it. I don't feel like I've quote unquote made it.
I'll never make nothing. I'll never make it till I have a Grammy, dude. If I have a Grammy, I'll say I made it.
Hey, do you remember Brooks Clark?
Yeah. Dude, he's in school he's in his master's, right?
Yeah. I actually I had him on the podcast. You know,
I know. I think I watched a little bit of it. I was teaching. I was on my lunch break and it popped up on my feed.
Sweet. Yeah, you know, he got nominated for a Grammy.
I know, for education.
I didn't even know there was a Grammy for education, but like, man, someone deserves it. It's that guy. Hey,
I know.
So actually, I speaking of education, I kind of want to steer the topic a little bit towards the teaching aspect of your career. You do something that's really, really interesting in the sense that you're not only a music educator, but you're specifically working with people who I forget the term that you used. It was much more.
I'm gonna help you out.
Yeah, give me.
Because it's such a changing landscape right now, and
Sure.
Part of this is that we want to create a community that's inclusive and celebrates the diversity of people with what's called intellectual and developmental differences. That's the term. That's like the official term that we're going with. But I work at a school called North Florida School of Special Education. So typically, you know, special education is what it's called. And that's the name of our school. So our students have mild to moderate intellectual and developmental differences, and all that means is that we have students, you know, the most differences are Down syndrome, autism, fetal alcohol syndrome, traumatic brain injuries, ADD, severe ADD or ADHD, and things of that nature. And so I got involved with that school, dude, totally like by chance. I played at a 21st birthday party you remember Debbie in the music office?
Oh, red hair, fake tits? Yeah.
No, that was Vicky.
Oh, Vicky. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Debbie.
No, dude, you're so gonna get burned for that one. No, Debbie.
What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Take my diploma away? Fuck you.
Was because Harrison was the chair back then, right? She was Harrison's assistant.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And Debbie's nephew has Down syndrome, and he goes to this school.
Yeah.
So she said, my sister is looking for a band for her son's 21st birthday party. Would you want to go? Or would your band be interested? How much would you charge? Right. I told her whatever, and we got the whole band and we played. And to this day, like if you ask any of the guys in Safari Sound Lab, they'll say that was one of the best gigs that we ever did.
Cool.
We played Freebird. We played the amphitheater at JU, but that gig, dude, everybody, it was all students, pretty much all students from the school, and they danced like they never stopped dancing and moving
Wow.
to the point that we had
Wow.
to keep up with them.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah. Wow.
dude, it was legit. And so I met the head of school that night, and we, I was still a college kid, dude. I was still like very much a young college kid. And then the next year, I got back in touch with the school, and we built a music program, dude. And I've been doing it ever since.
Was this like your senior year or?
That was senior year. Yep, senior year. And then I also I needed volunteer hours, so I got involved with their talent show. And like you said, I'm a performer. When I started volunteering there, I think I needed like 10 hours, and so I'm like showing up thinking, actually, dude, I spoke at the graduation last year as the keynote. Yeah,
Wow.
it was like a huge honor. Honestly, it sounds corny, but it was like a huge honor for me to speak as the keynote at graduation. And I talked about that, how I showed up here, this young college kid, thinking, oh God, if I come every Wednesday from 3 to 4 for the next 8 weeks, I can get my hours in and sweet, peace. And dude, I showed up there and it like totally was nothing like I expected. Like that place just like totally left a huge impression on me, to the point where I just kept going back, and we started up a program the next year doing after school music. And then the following years when we actually started doing it for the students in their daily, weekly schedules, that everybody gets music.
Yeah. Did you get an education degree?
No.
That's what I thought.
Dude,
what was
it's
your
funny
degree?
though, because music business,
Wow.
emphasis on technology. So, and what's cool now, it comes full circle, because now I've been teaching this is like my 7th year. And bro, now I teach my general music ed courses. And so for elementary, middle, and high school, they all get a general ed. But this year they gave me the schedule, and I had my high schoolers twice a week. And I was like, hey, is it cool if I do music technology once a week with them? So what I started is like a school record label now, dude. Like they're learning how to use GarageBand and produce music in GarageBand. Dude, I've got some fat tracks right now, like super hits.
Wow.
All made by my students. And I'm teaching them how to use GarageBand. What does it look like in the, because now we have the technology. Like you said, it's like living in this world where technology, I can project my laptop onto my ClearTouch board, and we can like touch it on the board and it controls the laptop. It's crazy. And so, yeah, man. And so I guess the whole thing about like education, where you think that I'm working with my special needs kids, I'm like super lucky, because my students, they want to do really well. I have friends who teach, like, Aaron and Tyler, they're both teaching now.
Yeah.
And they tell me about their students and how they're just like, some of them are, misbehave really badly and like aren't interested at all. And I'm so lucky. And maybe it has to do with like the relationship that we've built over the years, me and my students. But dude, they want to do their very best and to learn as much as they can. They just like really want whatever you're trying to teach them, they want to be successful at it. And it's like super rewarding when you can set them up for success. And like you said, like I'm not an education major, so I have figured it out. So like, dude, I had to figure out so much. I was given like a curriculum, like, here you go, have fun. And my first year, the academic director was like, look, if at any time you feel like this is too much, just like do some sing-alongs. I'm not gonna be mad at you if you end up doing sing-alongs with them.
Yeah.
Because look, I want, it's all about just creating that classroom environment. She's like, if you're having a hard time with it. So they've been super supportive and
That's great.
very they allow me a lot of freedom when it comes to like, what is my class going to do? Like, obviously I get to do a music technology class where we play around in GarageBand, dude.
So cool.
One of the classes, dude, of the classes, it's all guys. It's my like 10th graders or something, and it's all guys, right? And I happen to have them right after my like first graders. So I go from being like corny Mr. Sontag with my first graders to then they get, I'm like, yo, what's up? How's it going? Yeah, you feeling good? Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you, man.
Isn't it funny how being a teacher makes you kind of look back on teachers that you had and go, maybe they were like me. Maybe they're getting fucking trashed on the weekend, you know?
Well, that, but like also, man, were probably feeling really vulnerable, dude.
Mhm.
You know,
And we're probably doing things that may have come across to you as a kid as
I was a
they
dick
know.
in
They're
college,
so
man.
confident. They fucking know. They know what they're doing at every given time, and really they're bullshitting on the spot. I can't tell you
Oh
how many
my gosh,
times
so
I
much,
found
dude.
myself going, "Oh, I'm just bullshitting right now." Like it's not complete bullshit, and then it's like not irrelevant, but I don't have a plan.
No,
I'm
it
kind of
works, and
making
it's
this
still
up. Yeah,
like
it might
if
work,
I
but I'm
go
kind of making this
back,
up.
I can justify it when I go back to it, but it wasn't in the original plan, you know?
Yeah.
Are
Sorry
you
about
still
that.
there?
Yeah, sorry about
You
that.
just broke the stream. Yeah, like I can justify it if I go back. I'll say, well, this helped with the language skills, and this helped with vocalization and things like that. But then it's like, was it in your plan? Maybe, but it needed to happen at
Right.
that moment because
Yeah.
that's where the spirit was leading us as a
Sure.
class.
Yeah.
You can't like get stuck in your lesson plan block, your little ladder of lesson plans. It's like
Yeah.
it's a recipe to be really like bad teacher.
Well, and the other thing too is that kids do not kids need structure in the sense that structure is important to them, but they don't want structure. And not necessarily. It may be different with like just my experience working just in regular public school. It's the times when we get to go, I'm going to show you guys a couple of weird extended techniques you can do on the violin or whatever, and we're going to spend the last 5 minutes of class just screwing around. There's no right answer. Just play whatever you feel like. And maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll tell you guys be quiet. Maybe you guys will stop playing. These guys are going to play. And then I'm tell them to stop. And you guys, that's not in my plan. I feel like it's useful, but I couldn't write about how it's useful.
You couldn't plan that last week.
Not necessarily. Yeah, exactly.
It had to
yeah.
happen.
Right,
it had to
yeah.
happen organically.
Yeah, and that's what's going to get them. It's funny because I've done that with a lot of like elementary school classes, and it gets them really, really focused because there's no, that's an F sharp, put it on your second finger tape. You know, there's none of that mundane digital stuff that they don't really want. They just want to play music. They just want to have fun on the instrument. But if I ever presented a plan that was like, I'm just going to have my kids make random sounds, they'd be like, that's not fucking orchestra class. Like, what the fuck are you doing? I couldn't necessarily justify that. So,
right. The plan book says like explore the loop library using filters, but really like they're like, dude, that one said baby. Oh, baby. Because we were exploring vocal loops, right?
Dude,
and it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
they all just like cracked up. And I'm like, dude, yeah, it's freaking funny. It's
Yeah.
a class of all teenage boys. Yeah, it is fun. And I think, like you said, kids need structure, but also kids need freaking grace, dude. Like
And freedom.
so many times adults try to like force kids, and it's like kids need to be kids. That's
Yeah.
one of the most important
Mhm.
things. It's
Yeah.
not whether they get 100 on that test. It's
When-
about the experience, you know?
So when I was a kid, and I think we're in the same generation, so I think maybe I'm interested to hear if you had the same sort of experience as me. But when I was a kid, it was like, you're done with your schoolwork, get the fuck out of my house, don't come back till 7 or whenever dinner is. Get out. Go. I'm not going to come watch you. My mom's rule was, if it's not sticking out of your body and it's not bleeding, I don't care. Right?
Yeah.
And it was this like, I was left to, negotiate the world and negotiate stressful and negative situations on my own.
I was going to say, did you get yourself in trouble?
Oh, 100%. I got myself in trouble. I did some stupid shit when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could talk for a long time about all
We
the
could
stupid
go
dumb shit I
on
did
and
when I was a
on and
child.
on.
But I the mentality for my parents was like, listen, if you guys are upset because he took your thing, figure it out. I'm not here to be like, you're a bad person, you're a good person because you got stolen from and you're the stealer. It was like, you guys have to negotiate amongst yourselves. You have to figure this out. And there's there's a problem in this country with younger generations being micromanaged. Helicopter parents. I mean, the helicopter parents were even present for our generation. I remember when I was an RA at JU for 2 years, and we had a problem. My first year being an RA, which is my sophomore year, and I was only 18 at this time because I got in a year early. So I was the same age as all the freshmen, and I was an RA. I was a sophomore, and we had an issue with a parent who continued to come around the dorms, and she would do shit like she would like reserve a shower for her son, and she would escort him to class, and she was sleeping in his room and shit. And
your 18-year-old son, what are you doing,
old, dude? Oh my God. And so there was a whole problem. I actually was one of the people who had to walk with the police to go find this woman and be like, you cannot stay here. You are not allowed to live here. We have to escort you. You're technically trespassing. And what was interesting was her son was the one who reported her to us.
See?
It was her son who called the office and said, hey, my mom won't fucking leave.
They'll say like, you know, the parents are like, well, I just want I want to make sure that my kid is making good choices. The more that you like do that and like hover, the more they're going to want to make bad choices anyway.
They're going to want to rebel. I mean, yeah. And but it's just, it doesn't like you at some point, either your parents are going to die or you're going to move away from them, and you have to be able to figure this shit out on your own. I'm really, really happy and lucky that I have a good relationship with my parents, and like my mom's great with money, and I'm not. As we have learned in this past month, I am really, really bad with finances, okay? But I'm really lucky that I can call my mom and be like, Mom, I have a question about money. And I'm really lucky that I can do that. But it's different. It's one thing to be like, I have to go to someone who is older than me and more experienced than me, whether they're a parent or not, for advice. And another thing to be like, they're going to manage this for me. Like, if I said to my mom, I want you to take control over my bank account. I want you to pay my bills. I want you to save. My mom would laugh at me and she'd be like, fuck no, you can figure this out.
Yeah, figure it out, dude.
Yeah,
like,
figure it out yourself. Because you don't learn anything when, I'm sorry, I just bumped the mic and that was probably really obnoxious.
You're good. It wasn't even loud. That's good.
Like you don't learn anything when someone does stuff for you. Like you have to do it yourself. You need teachers. You need people to show you the way. But at a certain point, you kind of have to take that responsibility and just, it's you know, it's your job to do X, Y, or Z, you know? I think that like a lot of the, maybe some of the reason for the acting out you see, especially from boys in classes, might have to be that just like everything in their life is just structured and regulated and monitored. And what they want, especially boys, is to just be cut fucking loose and just out in the wilderness, dude. Like, that's what they want. There's a reason why boys love books like Hatchet, because it's like, this guy is just out there on his own and he's just surviving. That's what I want, you know?
Call of the Wild, dude.
Yeah. I mean, there's a she's a speaker and a writer. Her name is Christina Hoff Sommers. And she's a old school feminist. And she basically has said that like our public school system in general is made for girls. It's structured, it's regulated. There's a lot of like conceptual approaches, but boys want physical.
It's very type A. It's very type A, which I think more. Yeah. I feel like more, and I mean, I don't want it to come off the wrong way. I feel like more girls are more type A from my experience.
I think that might be right. I mean, maybe it's not, but who cares? Like, I'm a moron. I don't fucking know.
Let me say it this way. The women that I've known in my life have been tended to be more type A than I have been. Right, that's a good way to put it. In my personal experience, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, like Molly will plan out. She'll write and plan out the whole thing, and she'll ask me to do my shit. And I'm like, babe, no, I got it on my phone and I got it in my head. I don't know what this whole desk planner with all the dates in it. Like, I'm not gonna do it. It's not practical for me.
You got the honey-do list?
I got a text from them and it's in my brain, and I sent them confirmed, so it's good. So it's not on the calendar.
Yeah.
But she'll be like, babe, no, what do you mean? You don't know where you're playing? And like, I'm like, no, I'll check the day of.
If you check early enough, you're fine. You can plan it out. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's been interesting because her schedule is a month at a time. She gets a whole month at a time, and mine is constantly changing. If I pick something up, or if and with gigs, dude, it's been there's no regularity. I mean, besides like the church gigs, and I played at a church for like 7 years, and then COVID hit and things got weird, and it's just been kind of weird. But that's the only regular one, and then you would have some regulars, but then they're always coming. It's a very transient,
Right. Yeah.
they're coming and going.
And it's not like I have to work at 8 tomorrow. So you just go to work.
Well, for me, I do
yeah, right. Well, okay. For you, so fair enough. Like for me, it's like I have to work at X times, and I'm in my studio teaching. But like for gigs especially, it's I have to work at some time, but it could be at a completely different place, and there's a different vibe, or they're asking you to do different things, or maybe one day it's a wedding, one day it's just you're just playing a show, one day you're at a restaurant. It's not consistent.
And you have to manage your time so effectively to make sure you're prepared for all those different situations.
That's what I like. I like that it's, with the exception of some things that are pretty regular, like a church gig, it's always different. Like,
I'm such a procrastinator though, bro. I'm the worst procrastinator ever.
You gotta fake it till you make it, Ciaran.
I did a wedding, right? So I did a wedding this Saturday, which, COVID weddings are weird. First off, I've done 3 weddings so far. This one was 20 people. They tricked they had already eloped. They tricked everybody and told them it was an engagement party, and then surprise, we're married. This is our reception. So that was cool. It was super laid back, super low key. But I am such a bad procrastinator. I made this whole playlist of songs to learn. I mean, I overdid it, and I think that was a psychological thing for me. I created a playlist with over 50 songs that I should learn, like loosey goosey should learn these, and then 50. Never got really to work on them. I learned 2 or 3 new songs out of the over 50.
Yeah.
And just said, okay, well, I'll play them on a playlist. And it's like, for me, I'll wait till the night before. I'll be like, okay, well, I have to still make it. I'm all ready, but I haven't done it yet, but I know what I have to do. Yeah. I can do it the night before, and then the night before comes, and I'm like, well, I can just do it tomorrow because the wedding's not till 5. And you see where I'm going with this?
Dude, I've lived this. Yeah, I totally understand.
But that's what I prefer. But then, of course, I went there and slayed it. Just dude, everybody there was like, dude, you're amazing. Who are you? Why do you sound so great? They're like, you need to audition for The Voice. It was so amazing. It's the best feeling when that happens.
Audition for The Voice? Have you ever considered that? Have you thought about that?
I did it 1 year. I went
really?
And I sent in a tape because I didn't want to take the time off, dude. I'm not gonna take my personal time to go audition for you.
Well, and you're gonna sit in a line for 8 hours.
Bro, those singing shows are all so rigged anyway. Yeah. So I really tried to pitch them the story of me as a special needs teacher. Mm-hmm. But I just think that it wasn't what they were looking for that year or whatever. I think that, and I hired a guy to produce it, and I think he pushed me in, he steered me in a different direction, and I think that the direction he steered me in wasn't initially where I wanted it to be upbeat and light and about me with the kids, but it ended up turning into something a little bit darker. Thanks, honey. Yeah, that's good. That'll be good. Thanks. I got me a mango cart. Oh,
this man has his lady bringing in beers. Oh, fuck yeah.
Hey, she's chilling on the couch, man. She's chilling in the house.
That's great. And God bless Molly for doing that shit.
I texted her. That's what I was texting. I was like, can you bring me a beer? I still have a bit left, but yeah,
no, I get you. You wanna make sure you don't have a dry spell.
Not going dry. But yeah, dude. No, it's you have to be prepared for these gigs, but after a certain level, for me, after, I don't know, man. I used to write set lists for every gig, write a new set list and try to reorder my songs and reinvent the wheel. And then like, dude, I haven't written a set list since like 2018.
Mhm.
The set list that I still use says Safari set list 2018.
Oh my
like
God.
April, like I used to do the date. I used to do like March, and this would be my March set list. And so it's Safari set list April 2018. And what I did though, that the reason that it's lasted me this long is I made 2 like supersets of 30 songs. So I'm never following it, but I'm like can jump to different sections of it. And dude, what I do, which I don't know if anyone else does this, but I just modulate throughout the whole set. If I've got 30 songs, I'll do 5 in C major, 3 in A minor, another 3 in C major, a couple in F.
I love it.
And back to C, then to G, then to E minor. So I'll just like constantly be going through that circle of fifths, just like one jump at a time. Just
circle of fifths it like
I'll
6
either go
times.
relative, minor, or dominant, and that's all. And then, dude, my scales and everything just flies right through. Like, but after a while, I notice that it does sometimes get repetitive, the scales and stuff that I use, because I'll be like soloing the same ass solo every time.
Whatever.
Nobody knows. They just think it sounds great.
Right,
the untrained ear.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Well,
and
my whole thing with like repetition, and I've run into this with like working with bands, is the band I currently play with, we have a song called Cigarette Burns, and the original song was quite fast. The bass line, and right now we play it.
Oh, you gave it a swing. You gave it like a little slower swing.
It's a little swingy and a little slow. Well, so I was talking with our bassist the other night. We were talking about Cigarette Burns because the problem that we're running into is that we don't really have a good opener for our sets. We have a good closer. We don't really have a good opener. But Cigarette Burns Fast is a fucking brilliant opener. It's high energy. The drums just, and there's just like surf rock fucking guitar solo. It's a fucking banger, is what it is. But we have been playing it slow, and so we were talking about it. He was like, "Well, I don't really know. The problem is like we could do Cigarette Burns as an opener, but we'd have to do it fast. But then we can't play it slow." And I was like, "What the fuck do you mean we can't play it slow? Let's open the second half of the set with the song
with it slow, contrast,
slow.
Dude.
Because it's not the same just because it's slow. It's not just.
It's an original song.
Yeah.
Nobody knows it anyway.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Well, we have a decent following, Ciaran. Don't assume anything. No, I'm just kidding. But
bro,
what?
what?
Well, but here's the thing: is like you pointed out that it kind of has a swing, and it really does. Like it's a different vibe. Like what our guitarist is doing for the fast version and the slow version. It's not just the same thing slowed down. It's a completely different idea. For the fast version, it's very dry, kind of distorted, right? For the slow version, it's more like chordy stuff, lots of clean delay, very washy, like atmospheric. Right. It's completely different. It's a different vibe. Like you can hear the lyrics, and I'm just saying, here's the thing. The people who are gonna know at that point, oh, this is the song they opened with, but it's slow. They're gonna be one of two people. They're already gonna be a fan, in which case we don't have to convince them, and no fan's gonna go, oh, they did it slow. Fuck these guys, I'm not a fan anymore. That's just ridiculous. Right. Or they're gonna be a really astute listener who, if we play it in a different style, is gonna appreciate.
You got a
it.
fan.
We got a fan.
Yeah.
And the idea that you could just play the same song slow. Now, if you did it back to back, that'd be a little weird. But
right,
if you displaced it halfway through the set. The idea that someone would go, "Oh, these guys, they just recycled a song. Fuck them." Recycling material has been like a thing for fucking forever. You have like Tame of Concrete, where you have like the same melody throughout the whole piece. You have chacones or cannons, which all have the same bass line throughout the entire. Every movement is the same bass line. Those became really, really popular formats, despite the fact that they were so
long before we had our like modern set lists and gigs. Long before that.
Yeah, and so the problem I think that people run into, and I hate to say this because it's so douchey, but I think it's true. I think people tend to overestimate their audience a little bit, generally. That they're gonna know as much as I know when they're listening to this song or this thing that I've been practicing or whatever. They can't, like, by definition. It's not a matter of people are stupid. I'm not saying that, but it's just like you can't go into a performance expecting the people who are listening to you to have the same knowledge that you do about what you're playing.
Right. You have so much attachment to it. You have so
yeah,
much
and
attachment.
so much experience.
They have so much detachment because they're a bystander to that whole, they're there to hear you or whatever, but they're totally they're not in the same headspace as you are
Right.
because you're the creator. You have such a personal connection to it,
Yeah, and I've actually found it to be a really useful like mindset especially when you're thinking about things like musicality and how can I take this from just being flat and bland and actually something that's interesting and exciting. Actually, if you do assume that they don't know anything about what you're about to play, that means you have to be really clear and really precise about what you're doing with things like dynamics.
What you
or
send
whatever.
to them, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be super, super obvious. And I find that helps me just feel a lot more like actually musical and expressive. But then thinking about myself as a musician in the times that I've, been an audience member going to, any kind of show or concert, what's my mindset like? My mindset is not, I'm going to analyze the shit out of these guys. That's stupid and it's kind of boring.
Time, but sometimes you do.
It depends on what
you're
it is.
trained
that's
so
fair.
well,
That's fair.
right?
Yeah, okay.
You're trained so well that you can't help, dude. When the more I learned about music, the less I started enjoying it. Did you ever feel that way?
100%. Yeah, I definitely. Especially like once my ear got to a point where like I could listen to I could listen to a melody and I could be sort of notating it on the staff in my head because I'm
a sudden, dude,
I'm hearing the intervals and yeah, things got really boring and that's actually kind of what led me to really get into like more modern music, more experimental and progressive music because all of a sudden, like I wasn't really able to do that. It was so different of a language than sort of the standard classical or pop approach to things like melody and rhythm. And all of a sudden I wasn't able to do it. I think that I have learned to kind of turn it on and off. I can just listen and I can just experience it. It's taken a long time to get there, but I think it's possible. I think it's just a different way of listening to something. And it's just a skill you have to learn, just like, strumming in some way or another. But
yeah. I don't know, man. The more that I learned in college, because I was never trained until college. I never took any lessons or anything like that until college. And I was dude, I went in and I was in classes with like Rhea and you remember that dude Robbie? Mm-hmm. I was in classes with them for fundamentals. For some reason, they had to take fundamentals, and God, I felt like the biggest idiot.
Sorry, was I in that class?
I think you were with Shermer.
No. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, no. So I was supposed to take from Shermer and I went to the very first class.
And you said, I'm done with this. I
hated it. So I went to Richardson and I was like, dude, I can't. And she was like, Watkins has a section. We'll get you in it. And so I took it with Watkins.
Of fundamentals.
And the reason
you didn't need.
The reason I had to take it though was because you were supposed to go and take a test. And I fucking slept through it and I didn't make it to the test. So that's
probably what happened with these guys.
Yeah, I probably could have tested out of fundamentals. But I fucking was an idiot and I slept through the test and I didn't.
Shermer was pretty good, but he was too smart, man. I couldn't keep up. His brain is
he thinks about shit on a different level.
His brain is amazed, dude.
That class with Watkins was one of the experiences that made me go, fuck yeah, I fucking love music. And it's not necessarily because of what he taught or it was more of the way he taught. So the reason Watkins taught this class was, so the year that you and I went to JU in 2009, JU in general, but especially the music school had one of the largest incoming freshman classes of their entire history.
Yeah.
So especially the music department, because Richardson had been recruiting for like a couple of years and had gotten a bunch of people in. So what happened was there were all of
What had happened was
there were all of these like fundamental core courses that all of a sudden there were like, you know, if there was supposed to be a class of 20, there was like 70 people that had to take it. Like it really was like that much of a difference. Well, you know, the problem is like, you know, Dr. Huh, the theory teacher, he could only teach X amount of hours a week. So with his private lessons and the upper level theory courses, he was full. He was done. He literally could not, like, they could not give him
bro.
more
That
classes.
dude, talk about another genius.
That guy's incredible. So they ended up saying Shermer has to teach a fundies class, and then there were so many people that they made Watkins teach a fundies class because he was one of the teachers that had the lowest credit hour load. Watkins didn't want to do it, but his contract basically said if he's asked to teach a class, he must teach it.
He has to do it.
So I was in a class with mostly non-musicians. These are like football players and business majors and whatever.
Oh, you got stuck with that group.
Yes, and the worst part was they had to take a fine arts credit, but they missed out on things like History of Hard Rock with Harrison or a dance class or something. So they were forced to take Fundamentals of Music Theory, which
which is not the one you want. That's not what you want.
Listen, I'm a fucking theory nerd, and I had a blast in that class, but I also understood that if what you wanted to do for your fine arts credit was something fun like hard rock and rock and roll,
that is not.
You do not want to be put into a theory class. Watkins also did not want to be there. I didn't want to be there because I was like, I know all this stuff and I should have tested out, but I'm a fucking moron and I slept through. So literally no one in that class wanted to be there. Watkins, I don't know if I should say this in public. Yeah, I'll say it. No one's going to watch this.
He made it super easy for you.
Oh, no. No, that's not what I'm going to say. Watkins would, you know, he'd be up at the board and he'd be writing stuff and he'd be like, any questions? And someone would ask like a stupid fucking question. Like, you know, he'd be like explaining key signatures and he'd be showing like a treble clef and be like, you know, G sharp has one sharp, it's F sharp. So we put it on, so we notate the key signature with showing the F is sharp. It's on the top line because that's the F in treble clef. Yeah. And someone would be like, why isn't it on the second line? And he'd just go. He would just start sniffing the fucking marker, getting high as shit.
No, he wasn't really getting high. He was joking with
bro. No. Listen, no. All the time, he would just. I don't know if he was actually getting high or if it was one of those.
No, those things don't get you high. Trust me, I've tried.
Look, he was sniffing markers. All right. Okay, so after
he was making a point that's how dumb the question was. He's like, I just explained this.
After our midterms, and this kind of shows how like old school JU kind of was, even at the time that we were going there. After the midterm, he took. Oh, you had a JU cozy? Fuck
bro,
yeah,
wait,
dude.
check this out. When I drink it, watch what it says. Molly, she's so thoughtful, dude. She's so thoughtful. Look.
Dude, oh, I need that. Oh, that's fantastic.
Fins forever, bro.
I fucking love it, dude. Do you remember the official JU call?
You're crazy.
Anyway, so for our midterms in fundies, Watkins took like the worst midterms that got turned in, the ones that got the lowest score.
He put them up.
Yeah, he blacked out the names, turned them into transparencies, and spent
handed it out to everyone.
Spent the class after the midterms roasting the worst midterms, and it was fucking hilarious, dude. He the one I remember the most was he throws up the midterm and he's like, all right, let's look at like question number 4. In this question,
bro, Watkins dry ass humor, bro.
Oh yeah,
it's probably
he was so
funny.
dry. He was like, in this question, I asked you to write a G major scale. Now a major scale has 8 notes in it, and this scale has 10. Why the hell would you write 10 notes in a scale? And he just proceeded to just fucking demolish. And you know, I feel kind of bad because whoever the fuck was in that class whose midterm that was probably mortified, although probably thankful that he blocked out their name. But that was the shit that he did, man. It was ridiculous. He fired. He kind of fired. No, actually, he did fire. Oh gosh, should I say the name?
I don't know, dude. Just spell it out in hand symbols.
I can't do that shit.
No, I'm just kidding. I can't either.
No one's gonna listen to this. He fired a pianist whose initials are AM. who was a guy. He was Asian.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that guy was supposed to play for my senior recital, and at my jury, he could barely play most of my rep. So I got an email from Watkins the next day. He's like, "I fired this guy. I'm playing for your recital."
You got lucky as hell.
I did get lucky, but he was a fucking savage, is what he was.
I still have to think about who AM is, but dude. So wait, let's go back.
I'll tell you afterwards.
Yeah, let's do that, dude. Let's go back to Huh. Maybe one of the greatest musical revelations. So, dude, I want you to think about this. Will be a great little round table right here. Greatest musical revelations, and maybe from JU, but even from your gig life, from anything you've done. What have been your greatest musical revelations? And one of mine came from Huh.
Okay.
He said, I always thought of major and minor keys, right? As most people do in Western music. I was always trained and always heard it happy, sad. Right?
Yeah. Or light, dark.
And when I said that in his class, he kind of went like, more like sun and moon, like you said, light and dark.
Yeah.
Whereas it wasn't like minor doesn't have to be a sad thing, and major doesn't have to be. And that to me was like a big revelation where it was like, ooh, sun and moon, because they're totally, sun and moon are neutral and only coexist with each other. You know, like in our reality anyway, like the moon doesn't shine without the sun, you know, like, and it was that like, dude, I've been going back to detachment a lot lately. Detach yourself from this happy, sad thing.
Yeah.
And look at it in a different way that's more neutral and more like a deeper understanding than just the simple emotions that you've been trained to feel, happy or sad, you know?
I am listening. Hold on one second.
No, you're good, dude. You're good. But yeah, that was a deep one. So another big one, dude. Here's
really quickly along the same vein about major and minor. I think it goes even beyond just the idea that there are these sort of really, really simple, like happy is not really an emotion. It's a set of emotions, right? There's lots of ways to be happy. At least in my experience, I think the word just it's one of those words that it gets tossed around for so many things. I really don't even know what happy means anymore. I don't really know what sad means anymore. I know what elated means. I know what engaged means. I know what content means. I know what melancholy means, but it's
passionate,
not, like,
empathetic.
But it's sad. Like, what even is sad? It's a general. I think the way that we should be using these words is as they're categories. They're not actual descriptions of emotions. But so take a scale like we would
what is that, pentatonic?
Yeah, major pentatonic. That's what we would call it, and we would associate that with that kind of like quote unquote like.
Yeah, what are we playing? What are we playing, bro?
We'd associate with that like quote unquote kind of light idea, right? In Balinese Gamelan, which is the traditional music of Bali, Indonesia.
I love gamelan music. Let's talk about Tony Steve next.
Let's not actually. There's a particular variety of gamelan called angklung, and they use a scale, or really it should be a mode, really, that is. But that ensemble with that tuning is generally used for things like cremations and funerals. And so when you ask a Balinese person, what is that? Like, what emotion does that convey? They're going to give you the opposite things. They're going to say bittersweet, the idea of loss, like something sad about it. And so that's not even like a different, slightly different, nuanced version. That's like a complete opposite of what we would associate major with. It's a dark emotion for them. It's a light emotion for the West, which kind of calls into question, like, why do we even listen to things like? Is it even possible to like is it even possible for me to listen to Balinese Gamelan in the same way that a Balinese person does? Like
No, absolutely not. Because
I'm
you're,
hearing the
dude.
same
Actually,
sounds.
you are steering this conversation in such an interesting way for me because I loved Tony Steve's world music class, um, and as well as any class that made me investigate and research any cultural music besides like the bullshit that we have here. The American music industry is so simple. It's just so simple, dude.
The industry for
Um,
sure. Yeah.
but so I fell in love with obviously with reggae music in college, dude,
Mm-hmm.
and learning about the music in Jamaica and what it meant, not just what it sounded like, but what it meant to those people. It meant their fucking freedom, bro. It meant freedom from oppression. And that's when ska music came out and reggae music evolved from that with rhythm and blues. And you look at all of the technological advancements that led to all of that. But then also things like gamelan music, and you look at the significance of like music in those cultures that it was tied into the very fabric of everything that they did, like and so one of my favorite things, dude, is that like and the other one I love is the music of Latin America, dude. And when you look at it though, it's so closely tied to slave trade, bro. Without slavery, there's Latin music may not be what it is.
Right.
And so much of our modern music industry may not exist. And so
American music wouldn't for sure. Like, I mean, because you can trace basically every sort of quote unquote American genre back to things like rhythm and blues. Which led into rock and roll, which diverted off into like hard rock and then metal and other thing and soft rock and more, and then of course you get alternative. But all of the language and the style traces directly back to
rhythm and blues
to Black Americans playing this stuff like Lead Belly, dude. I recently got into Lead Belly. Holy fuck, man! What the hell, dude? That shit has changed my ear and changed my life. Like, and this guy, this is 40 years before or 30 years before the end of Jim Crow. Like this guy like was risking his life traveling to another city just to play a music fucking show, dude. And it's like you can't extricate what American music sounds like from slaves, from American slaves,
right? And so here's where I'm going. I am this elementary music teacher, and we're doing cultural fair. Every year we do a cultural fair, and every class picks their countries. And then I do my best to figure out how to teach for that month. I try to teach them a little bit about the music of that country. And it's hard for that month, but you recycle the lessons and you teach every other class about all the other classes. And, so everyone is learning about the different countries and their music. And so last year, one of the classes was doing Cuba. And one of my things was that like, Cuban music exists because they had European and African, the blending of European influence with the horns and the instrumentation like that, and then you had the African rhythms and the drums, and then they created their own drums. And it's like, well, why wait, what happened? And it's like, and I had to go to my boss and be like, hey, so there's this thing, the slave trade. Like, how do I navigate this?
Really
because like
about that for sure.
It's real and it happened and there's no way around it. You don't get to just like, I'm not going to be the guy who's like Columbus 42 sailed the ocean blue. Like, I'm sorry. Like we're at a time where like that's, dude, we were force fed BS, bro. Like I'm not going to be that guy. I'm going to give them real and I'm going to keep it appropriate.
Right.
But it's got to be real, dude. Like that happened and that was not good. And
well, and it's not obvious how to walk the line because it's like, you can't not talk about it. Like that's a big mistake. Like you can't not talk about it, right? But
especially when you're talking about something that directly happened as a result of it.
And you may have Black children who are descendants of slaves in your class. You never fucking know, you know?
Right.
Or even if they're not descended from slaves, they may still, you know, be experiencing the you know, some, you know, echoes and ramifications of that time. So you can't not talk about it. So if you're going to talk about it, are you going to be super explicit with a 9-year-old about, you know, torture rape?
You gotta give it to them in a way that they can understand it.
Right. But like, you also can't be really glib about it and be like, yeah, we once owned people as property. Yeah, we moved beyond it. What the fuck? That's not okay. Like, you can't say that. So like, it's one thing to talk to an adult about it because you're an adult. You can handle that information. It might fuck you up. Like, dude, like, I mean, I remember when because I grew up in the South, and, you know, I'm not the kind of guy to be like, oh, the South is all racist. That's fucking bullshit. We had Black people that went to my church. I was a fundamentalist Baptist.
No, I never like generalizations in any sense.
Yeah. And this trope that the South is racist is bullshit. I mean, we know this growing up in the South. There are racist people for sure, but the Southern culture is not one of racism, right?
No.
Not necessarily. At least not where I grew up. But I was still kind of sheltered and protected from it, and it was when I got older and I started realizing, like, I really don't really know about what it was like. And you know, it bothered me. It really, really messed me up. It's like, how do you treat people like how can you treat anybody like this? Like, I can't imagine, like, I'm not a violent person. Like, you know, if some guy tries to fight me, like, I'll defend myself. I'll punch him in the face. I don't give a shit. But like, I don't want to just be violent to people. And I don't understand the mindset that leads someone to do that, especially not a mindset that says this person is basically not human. Like, there's so many disconnections in logic there. Like, just because something's not human doesn't mean it's okay to hurt it. Like, my cat's not human. I don't think it's okay to hurt the cat or the dog or even a tree outside. Like, not unwillingly. So there's so many disconnections, and it bothers me that, like, anybody could ever think this way. But you can't just present that to, like, a kid, right? Like,
right.
But you also, like, that's fucked up. It messed me up as an adult.
It has no place. Like, it has no place when we're talking about music to be like, well, you know, but like,
but it also
when you're
does
talking
have a
about
place.
a
Like,
cultural, like, in that context,
right? Yeah.
In that context, it had to. It is the reason that Cuban music is what it is. It's same with Brazilian music, bro. Like, you look at it, and when you do the research, you realize it's in, like, the freaking opening paragraph. It's like, the reason that this music is the way that it is because of the rhythmic context of the African heritage mixed with the instrumentation of the European heritage. It's like, so it's so hard. You have to, like,
to give a non-Western example, for instance. I think, and this is something I still have a lot to learn about. So, you know, I deficient in some knowledge here. But like, I study Balinese music with Balinese people, and what I've been told is, like, you really, like, if you really want to understand this music and why it's important culturally, you kind of also have to understand the impacts of Dutch colonialization and things like mass suicides and the destruction of the environment, and none of that's fucking pretty. Like, I don't want to think about 200 people going outside the palace and killing themselves in an act of protest.
Wow.
Like, that blows. It makes me so fucking sad to think about that. Like, but if I really
just got fucking chills, man. I just got chills.
Right. If I'm really invested in actually learning the truth about this stuff, you have to get into it. And it goes beyond, you know, simple sort of, like, you know, I shouldn't say simple, because these things are important, but it's easy enough to be like, oh, this is the context with, like, oh, this is a particular religious belief, or this is a certain, like, cultural idea. Okay, fine. That's, you know, whatever. But it's another to look at certain styles of music that are like, you know, this was a direct response to mass suicide. And,
oh my god.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, bro. It just goes to show you that music is that language. It's a language, bro.
Yeah. And it's in some ways it's kind of born out of pain. I mean, like playing
A
an
lot of
instrument,
times, but it's also used for celebrations. It's
100%, 100%. Yeah, it
it's
comes from a lot of
there
places.
always. It's always there for you.
Yeah.
Whether you're in pain or you're celebrating, what's the first thing you're gonna do is like pull up your playlist that has your music for you.
Or
you
like
know?
my favorite thing to think about is like if I'm upset, practice about it. If I'm mad, practice about it. If I'm sad, practice about it. If I'm in pain, practice about it. If I'm happy, practice about it. You know, it's like it can become an outlet for so many things. Like just doing music, even if it's like
You're probably so good. You must be so good that you practice all the time.
no one said I practice well.
Bro, I don't even practice, honestly. Like, there's no such thing as practice for me. Practice is like, I wish that I were better, but I wish I didn't have to practice to get better because I'm so bad at really practicing.
Yeah. Oh, I wish I didn't
I'm
have to
just,
practice. Well, that's not actually true though.
I don't know. I've reached that plateau where like I'm good enough,
Sure. Yeah.
but
For me, I like, practicing has become something like a mindfulness practice in the way that like meditation might be, so the thing that I am supposed to do, I don't always do it, but the thing that I'm supposed to do, the first thing I do when I practice is I just sit there and I play open strings. No fingers, no scales.
oh, your whole tones, your
Just play-
long tones
yep,
and stuff.
Yep. And maybe, long full bow. Maybe I'll just do the upper half or the lower half sometimes, whatever. Or I'll be like, today I'm going to play really loud, or today I'm going to play really soft, or like I'm going to focus on like a really accented whatever. Fucking you can come up with whatever you want. But like the idea is that like while doing this, you can develop a sense of mindfulness about your own body. It's like one of the things that I struggle a lot with is my shoulder coming up like this, which just brings a lot of tension. And also it doesn't produce a good sound. Like you get a good sound by having a really relaxed shoulder. And so it's like learning to just focus my attention on just this part of my body, just this one, this muscle, this muscle, this muscle. And how relaxed are they? Can it be more relaxed? Is that too relaxed? Do I have to be a little more tense? Maybe there's a fine line between those things. Putting on a drone and just playing a scale really, really, really slowly. Take 5 minutes to play like 2 octaves really slowly and just tune everything, not necessarily thinking about like, well, this will make me better at an A minor scale. Whoa, cool. But more of just like, this is a way to like practice really focusing on something and being present and not getting caught up in the experience or the feeling, but being able to step outside of it and like almost like witness myself doing this activity and kind of correct. It's like, I'm sure you've experienced this. Like you've learned, like I'm sure that like you've learned things about music that you didn't already know, or maybe that you didn't know that you know by having to teach them to somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that thing. It's like, can I put myself in a fantasy world where I'm teaching myself? I'm teaching I'm not the one playing the cello. I'm the one teaching it. And it's a really, really interesting mental practice. And when you do it consistently, you kind of form these habits around things, which may or may not be good, but you sort of end up populating the world of like, let's say, open strings with, there's a particular way that I go from one string to the other, or there's a particular way that I change bow directions, or there's a particular way that I play soft or loud or whatever, and not going, well, this is the way to play loud, but this is the way that I play loud. That opens up a whole world of questions. Is this the right way? Is this the best way?
Bro, they say like know thee Sutan, like know thyself, right? Like that's the thing. Like what you're saying is like it's not the way, but it's the way that I am doing it. Like I am understanding myself and how this is the second you can understand like your own personal practice and the way that your own personal experience, then you can start to try new things and stuff like that. But until you can recognize and understand that this is, like you said, this is how I play a loud note, then until you can do that, you can't adjust it. You can't make adjustments, So that's like, yeah, you're right. It's fundamental, dude.
Yeah. And it opens the questions to things like, how does somebody else play X kind of a sound? And then you have to ask the question, like, how are they getting that? If that's the way that I want to sound and I'm not sounding that way, how are they getting it? Maybe I just have to copy what they're doing. Maybe I have to do something else, you know? But you can turn it into this, like, yeah, like it's almost like a meditation. Like I have tried to meditate and just sit there and do nothing. I put on a timer one time, 5 minutes. That's it, 5 minutes. It felt like a fucking eternity, dude. Like I thought I was gonna die. I was like, dude, I'm losing my mind. Like waiting for this fucking alarm to go off so I can get up and go do something. And then I kind of realized that, like, if the goal of meditation is to be more aware of your emotions and thoughts and your own tendencies, why do I have to sit still and be quiet to do that? Why can't I play the cello and do the same thing?
Right.
Isn't that the point of practicing, is to find out your tendencies and figure out if you're going in the right direction or
you
not?
know, like the thing with meditation. So I don't know if you probably don't know this about me. A lot of people don't know this about me. I worked for a spiritual psychotherapist as in my senior year of high school. I was his personal assistant, bro.
Did not know that.
He was like retired. He only took like 2 or 3 clients, but he needed help with his day-to-day running his business. But what I got was like free therapy from this guy, free like hypnosis therapy, all this stuff. And he opened my mind to meditation. And this is like senior year of high school. This dude opened my mind to meditation in a way that like I'll forever be indebted to him. And he would just teach me things about detachment, about like, well, why do you feel that way? Like understanding and being in tune with your own self. And so like when you talk about practice, being present with whatever you're doing. And so like putting the phone down, like when you're when you're with your students or when you're with, your wife having dinner, put the phone down and just even as simple as like when you're making dinner,
right?
You like understand and know that you're creating something from these ingredients, whatever. And it's like, it opens your mind to the idea that like, that, being present unlocks this part of you that you can offer it to people. You can truly like give yourself to others, which I think is like the ultimate goal of life, to give yourself to others and then let them receive, and it be a mutual, understanding and relationship. I mean, relationships is the whole point of all this. Like you said, like sometimes music feels lonely, dude. Like, even though sometimes some of the most loneliest times I've had were when I was playing for a bunch of fucking people. I was playing for 100 people, but I didn't know anyone. And I was by myself playing the music for them, like, I was still interacting with people, but then like at the end of the day,
you're still kind of by yourself.
I was alone. I was with my music. It was just me, So, being able to offer yourself. And I think music is the ultimate way, because like, dude, and we started the conversation talking about like how amazing is it that we get to do this? We decided one day when you were what, 16, 14?
Sure. Yeah. Maybe.
8th grade. I said.
It's some point I made the decision, but it's so long ago I honestly don't remember how old I was, where I was in the thought process. I don't know. I just know that at some point I decided this was it, and that decision is stuck with me.
My 8th grade yearbook, it says, where do you see yourself in 20 years or something like that? They always ask that. Mine was, I'm on world tour with my band, Another Wrong Turn, right? That was my band at the time, first band ever.
Sweet.
And so that was that time when you made the decision. You said, I want to do music. I want to create music for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And now to know that like you are doing it, you are creating music. It is a career for you, but it's more than that. It's a life. Like you can't wake up and not make music. Dude, there's no way.
One of the first things I think about when I wake up is, I got to practice today. What am I going to practice? Now, whether or not I actually do that in a timely manner or do that very well is a different story, but it's still the first thing on my mind, and it's been the first thing on my mind for as long as I can remember. I wake up and I think I need to play the cello today.
Yeah, it's like almost like an addiction. You're addicted. Yeah.
Dude, so last last week I had a problem with my cello, and I took it in on a Wednesday morning, and I picked it up on a Friday afternoon.
You were depressed.
Literally, I was away from my cello for 48 hours.
You were depressed.
Dude, I was losing my fucking mind. Thursday, I was talking to my girlfriend. I was like, I haven't done anything all day. I couldn't teach. I have a cello. I can't teach. So I did nothing. I sat around my house. Yeah, I vacuumed a little bit and I washed dishes, but like I didn't fucking do anything, you know? And I'm just like, what am I doing? I play video games for like 8 hours. What the fuck am I doing, you know? And I don't know. It's just like, dude, like when I got the phone call from my luthier Friday morning saying, hey, your cello's gonna be ready around like 1, I felt like a different person. It was like, oh my God, finally, like, oh, you know, and he's like, oh, it's nothing major. It'll cost you like $50. Great.
Good.
I literally, dude, I was, so I was going to go pick it up at like 1, I think. I was ready to leave at like 11. I had like my bag packed. I had my wallet. I made sure I got my phone, my earbuds, so I could listen to music on the way there. I made sure I knew how long it would take me. You know, I had breakfast ready. I was fucking ready 2 hours ahead of time. It's just, it really is like a disease or like an addiction. It's like you have to do it. I am very unhappy when I can't play music. If I don't play music for a couple of days, I lose my goddamn mind, dude. So like,
because it's who you are. Like you said, it's your identity.
Yeah, it's like
so,
eating. I have to do it.
I just hope that, like, you know, I think about it like this, like, you know, we were talking about people, you know, sadly, we see people who we went to school with who are no longer playing music.
Yeah.
And you think, man, could we ever end up like that? Like, man, I just pray that we never get to the point where we feel that we have to put music on the back burner for something else, you know, like,
well, you won't do
out
it.
of necessity or
You're a
out
fucking
of
killer. You'll never have to do that. I feel really confident. I mean, whatever the fuck my word is worth, but like I feel really confident telling you, like, I don't like I kind of keep track of what you do, man. I look at your Facebook, like,
I appreciate it.
You know, like you're doing shit all the time, like.
And the reason I do that is because I want to be that old guy that you see at the restaurants when I'm 65 or 70. I want to still be doing this shit. Like, I really, honestly, and I will never lose this skill. I'll never lose it. There's no way.
No. I mean,
I can play like over.
Maybe you'll become like, maybe you'll get to be the age of like, I don't know, 110 or something.
I'll be singing the oldies music, all the oldies, the Ed Sheeran and Bob Marley for the oldies.
Dude, so
Sublime for the oldies.
My girlfriend works in an assisted living facility, like a nursing home, and you know, I asked her one time about like, you know, what music is playing, and it's still things like, oh, it's a lot of Frank Sinatra and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm sitting here thinking like, dude, when you and I are like 100 years old and we're in a nursing home, what kind of music's gonna be playing in that nursing home? Like fucking Nirvana,
Little Uzi Vert,
Little Uzi Vert, fucking weird mumble rap, and like all the
Drake.
All the younger generations go, oh, it's adorable. They're still listening to what they listened to when they were kids. Aw,
Beyonce and
it's gonna be fucking metal. It's gonna be some fucking heavy shit blasting from my room. Also, probably all of us are just going to be getting high as fuck all the time. I mean,
hopefully soon that it'll be regular, you know, like a normalized thing.
Yeah. Isn't it medical legal in Florida now?
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to get here. I mean, it's pretty simple enough. If you need to get it, you can get it legally. You get your little appointment with a doctor or whatever. I don't do that because honestly, my job says that I can be drug tested at any time. So it's just not worth it. Molly's job says she can be drug tested at any time. It's like, well, guess what? It's just not even worth it, you know? But dude, so wait, you said Frank Sinatra and the memories, like the old folks home and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I've been playing this like regular gig every other week, and it's out in Ponte Vedra Beach, this really nice pool beach club, and this old guy comes and sits every time. He's there every time. He sits by himself. He eats, and you know it's a members only club, and people come and sit with him and talk with him, and he's obviously everybody knows everybody there, and so you know he's never lonely, but he's always eating alone, and he asks for 3 songs every time. Every time. It's 3 songs. And you want to know what they are. Sweet Caroline by Neil Diamond.
Sweet.
Country Road, Take Me Home, Country Roads, John Denver. And What a Wonderful World. What a Wonderful World, Louis Armstrong. Okay.
Fantastic choices, man.
I mean, classics.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah.
way overplayed.
No one hates those songs, though.
So overplayed. Anyway, the first night he asked for them, and I fumble through Country Roads. I don't really play it that much. It's not my style. Sweet Caroline, I do it, and I fucking nail it. It's a cheap trick, dude. Sweet Caroline's such a cheap trick when it comes to gigging. It's like 3 chords.
Does like when you play it, does everyone do the da da da?
I've played that song at the garage, and people were dancing on the bar, dude.
It's such a good song. It's such a
shitty song.
I love it though.
But anyway, and then What a Wonderful World. So and this guy, this guy tells me, and so every time he comes up and he has his server tip me out of the bar register, and he tips me $10 every time. But those songs, so I go over and talk to him the second night that I'm there, and he asked for the same 3 songs. I go and I just like go and talk to him at his table. He's sitting alone having his dinner and maybe a beer or something. And he tells me, and he goes, "You know why I asked for those songs, son?" And this guy, I don't know, late 60s, 70s, older man. He tells me, "Sweet Caroline was the song that I danced with my wife at our wedding.
Wow.
Country Roads, my daughter went to school in West Virginia. So Country Roads. And then the last one, What a Wonderful World," he says. "And for my wife's funeral, my son put together a video with that song, What a Wonderful World, in the background." And that to me was like, dude, I am able to like transport myself into your world and your reality just by playing or learning a song. So guess what? I play those songs every time when he comes up. I don't even wait for him to ask for him. I just go into him now.
Wow.
But also it was like, so then like for me to feel it's like an honor, right? It's like a privilege for me to play these fucking songs. His wife's funeral, dude, which and I found out was like fucking 6 months ago, dude.
Wow.
Like not long ago. So this is super fresh, and like it's an honor to be where I am and to play these songs. And so I was talking with the manager, and she goes, "They're saying how much, oh, we like your set. You're one of our favorites who play here." And I was like, "Oh, how are the other guys? Blah, blah, blah." Just doing my little business recon. And she says, "Yeah, there's one guy, he refuses to learn any of those songs and I was like, what the I was like, what is wrong with him? This guy asked for 3 simple joys in life, like to reminisce on these memories of life. And that's what music does, is it accompanies you. It accompanies you through life. You have these journeys that like, and dude, you're going to refuse this guy like that experience? Like what? Anyway, that's like, you said Frank Sinatra. He's asked me he's told me crazy stories about meeting Frank Sinatra before too, and how Frank was like a terrible drunk and stuff like that.
I've heard that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, he said he met him after like some terrible performance where he bombed on stage, and he went and like gave him a pep talk. I was like, "Are you serious? You gave Frank Sinatra a pep talk while he was like in the bottle?"
Yeah, So, earlier before we actually went live, we were talking about kind of why I do this, like why I'm doing this, shitty podcast that no one listens to. But, I'm convinced that people's, like, if you have a favorite music or a favorite band or a favorite song or whatever, it's not your favorite band or your favorite song necessarily because of some kind of taste or experience or knowledge you have in music. It's going to be your favorite, and it's going to mean something to you because of the connections you make between that song and something else, or that music and that something else, or that band and something else. I can give you a shit ton of examples. So like the guy interviewed before you, episode 10, was Pete Davis. One of the reasons that his music speaks to me so much is because I've never really been like a guy who's been super into like horror or scary stuff. Okay. That's never really been I've never really been interested in it, and I play with a band who like a lot, like our music has been described by many people independently as spooky and kind of creepy. Right. Okay. So we were working on a bunch of music videos and other stuff like that. And I was like, well, if our music is interpreted as spooky and creepy, which it is, like that's how I feel about it, I really need to know about other things that are spooky and creepy. So I was getting into like horror movies and shows and stories and stuff like that. And so I ended up playing these little puzzle games by a game studio called Rusty Lake. Shout out to Rusty Lake. And they're just weird. They're creepy. They're strange. They're kind of disturbing, and they're kind of weird. And I happened to discover Pete Davis's music while I was playing those games. And something about his sound fit those games so well. And I'm not really sure that if I had just listened to his music without playing those games, like I was literally exploring his music while I was playing those games. That's how I listened to it.
You might not have.
I might not
found
have,
it or
have
even
gone,
liked
oh
it.
God, this is fucking incredible. And so, this idea of like, there's this guy and he wants you to play these songs that are just like, yeah, they're just shitty pop songs. Everyone has heard them on a jukebox at a
everybody
bar a
knows
million
them.
fucking times. But they clearly mean a lot to this guy. They don't mean to me what they mean to him. That's for sure.
Right.
Right. And so it seems pretty obvious that like the reason you like the music you're listening to, like you've referenced things like reggae and stuff like that. And the reason that you've talked about them and them being so important is not because you have some it's not necessarily because you have some appreciation of the theoretical underpinnings of all this fucking nonsense, but because it has to do with a time in your life and has to do with learning certain lessons and has to do with the connections with certain cultural events and things like that. And I think music is such an underappreciated aspect of culture. Like we relegate music to the arts department, and that seems
and then undervalue the arts.
Yes, and it seems ridiculous to me to relegate music to the arts department. Sure, it is an art. Like if you're gonna go and get a performance degree, that's an art degree. You should go get that degree. Why can't you maybe go get like a musical anthropology degree? Or
I mean, it exists. It exists. Music,
if it does, I've never heard of it.
Ethnomusicology. You know about ethnomusicology, right?
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it exists. Dude, there was a brief moment where I was like, "Fuck, I want to do this."
But
I want to be an ethnomusicologist.
Same. So one of my best friends.
You went to Bali. Wait, so
twice, yeah.
You went to Bali and trained with real gamelan players, dude?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's like the realest ethnomusicology thing that anyone's ever done.
Yeah. So my perspective, I would love. So I have a buddy who I actually got to know him because he was an ethnomusicology professor at Denver University where I did my master's. He's not there anymore. He lives in New York now. I'm trying to get him on the podcast, but he won't fucking answer my text messages or phone calls. Aaron Page, if you're listening.
Aaron Page.
Fucking call me.
Get your ass on here.
Call me Aaron Page. So ethnomusicology really it's centered on music. It seems to be centered on music, and you're adding context by looking at things like culture and politics and religion. And what I'm saying is I don't think you need to center on any of them. I think if you were, pretend you were like an anthropologist and you're going to go to Africa and you don't know fucking jack shit about the village or whatever you're going to fucking live in. Okay. Are you really going to look at things simply how they relate to music? That doesn't make any sense. Why not look at music how it relates to politics? It's not clear. Well, let's politics is not really a great example. Let's take a better example. Let's say the connection between music and religion, right? If you look at religion in the context of music and music in the context of religion, you have two completely different conversations. They're not the same.
Right.
And so the problem with ethnomusicology, it's still relegated to the arts department. You are looking at music in the context of culture, which is valid and worthwhile. By the way, I don't mean to diminish that.
Right.
But why not look at culture in the context of music? Like, it's not the same thing. And it seems like maybe we're missing that. I also say that as someone who's never been in any department of any college besides music. Maybe a lot of other people talking about this, and I'm just
yeah. We have a very serious bias right here. We're nerds. We're fucking music nerds, dude. Like we
Speak
geek
for yourself,
out.
Ciaran. No, I'm a nerd.
We geek out when we hear a certain chord. We make the stank face when we hear a certain solo. Like, we'll never. And I guess my point, and I'm gonna have to wrap it up here soon because my wife probably falling asleep out on the couch out there.
And it's a lot later for you than it is for me.
Yeah, I gotta pack my car up for my gig tomorrow night, where I'm gonna see my guy, Mr. White. Frank, I think his name's. Anyway, I'm gonna see Francis, and I'm gonna play his songs for him, his 3 songs.
Oh, yeah.
But dude, it brings me to that point that hopefully we'll never not be that nerd, that geek. Like, I value the hell out of being this fucking nerd, dude. Like, I get excited when I hear kids sing a fucking major scale that sounds good. I get excited when a kid tells me that like they remember a C major chord or something. Or dude, if I find out that any of my students have perfect pitch, bro, I just geek out.
Oh, has that happened? Dude, have you found one that's
oh my god, like 2 or 3 times too.
Really? Holy shit. Wow.
Usually, and the saddest part is usually the kids that I realize have perfect pitch want nothing to do with it. They want nothing to do with it.
I'll be honest, I'm glad I don't have perfect pitch.
God, I wish I had it so badly.
Do you remember Stephen Hanner?
Yeah.
Yeah, so shout out to Stephen Hanner. I fucking love Stephen Hanner. That guy's great. But he had perfect pitch, and he's
brilliant. He's brilliant.
Brilliant guy and fantastic.
Is he probably on the spectrum?
You know what? I never thought about it. He might be. I don't know. He might be.
All of my students that I've had who have had perfect pitch have been on the spectrum.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, he might be. I don't know, but I love Stephen Hanner. He's a great guy to talk to, and a fantastic player.
Brilliant, so fucking brilliant that I suspect he's got to be somewhere on that spectrum.
He might be. Yeah,
he's so fucking smart.
But I remember having a conversation with him one time because he had perfect pitch, and like perfect pitch to the point that I could go, "What pitch is that?" He'd be like, "It's
and you're this." Like, it's a D sharp.
Okay, I'll hold it, tune her up. Oh my god, it's a D sharp, like you said. Like, what the fuck? That sounds like noise to me. I remember asking one time, I was like, what is it like hearing noises and being able to go, that's an F sharp, or that's slightly higher, lower than a G, or whatever. And he was like, dude, honestly, it kind of sucks. I can't stop thinking about what this pitch is, and that's out of tune compared to some sort of standard that I've learned. And I was like, I guess I always thought that like having perfect pitch would be really great because my intonation would be super fucking spectacular.
But you're trapped.
Yeah, it sounded
you can't
like
escape it.
I mean, it didn't come across like he was like, I'm living in a literal hell, but like it definitely was like it came across like this was kind of a nuisance in his life.
Yeah, you can't escape it.
Yeah, you cannot hear things this way. Yeah.
So I found out that one of my students had it. I was clocking out with my badge, and it goes like beep. And I asked him like, beep, what note is that? And he's like, A. He goes, A. This is like a fucking 11-year-old kid. And he goes,
beep. Was it beep?
A.
Beep.
Or something like that.
Let's see what that is. Is that an A? Beep.
I don't have perfect pitch, so it's probably not.
Beep. Oh my god.
You got a tuner or something, dude?
Yeah, I got a little tone wheel. Beep. Beep. No, you're off.
I'm totally off, dude. I have terrible pitch. My pitch is trash, bro.
I don't know what it is. Mine too.
But I was clocking out with my badge at work, and he was sitting there waiting for his ride, and the beep went off, and I asked him what it was, and he said and I checked it immediately on my little piano app on my phone, and sure enough, it was spot on. It was on the money, dude. And I was like, oh, let's start lessons tomorrow. But he went, and honestly, like the kid, he wanted nothing to do with it. I tried to do all this, like, but then I started teaching him about like, theory and chords. Because right now I do general elementary education. Mm-hmm. It's very basic. It's very surface level. That's what my kids need. But then when I realized that one of them has like a very, very special gift that like less than 1% of the population have, I tried to feed him. I tried to nourish that gift. But as soon as he found out that I was trying to give him like extra attention and stuff, he was like, not really interested in that. Thanks. See ya.
Oh my God.
Sucks.
Well, dude, I want to make sure I let you go and don't take too much of your time. Ciaran, thank you so much, dude.
Yeah, Joe,
Really,
dude,
it's
it's been
so
a
good to see
pleasure
you and talk to
reconnecting
you
with you,
again.
man.
Yeah, man. Stay on for like one more minute after we go off the live. Anything that's coming up that you want to plug, that you want to talk about real quick, social media, whatever you're doing?
Dude, honestly,
Not really.
I don't
Okay.
need a plug. Go add me on social media. Ciaran Sontag, CIARANSONTAG. I will have an album coming out soon. I
Hell
can't tell
yeah.
you when because I'm working on it in my home studio, like I said. And there's no rush. There's no rush, man. What I want to say though is that, like, bro, anything, do it in your own time. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're working on, do it in your own time because, like, nobody else can do it for you. It belongs to you, and there's no wrong way for you to do it, and that's what I'm trying to live by. And yeah, bro, there's nothing to plug. I don't even need to plug. Add me on Facebook. You see, I'm constantly plugging stuff.
Yeah.
There's, you know,
Hell yeah,
you
dude.
know.
100%. Add Ciaran Sontag on Facebook. Stay on for like 1 minute after we go live or
Yeah,
after we go off the live. And yeah, thanks, man. Really appreciate it.
absolutely, bro. This is fun. This
Good
is
night,
really fun catching
whoever
up.
is listening. Bye.